Today we're going to finish the beautiful chapter 3 of Tractate Bava Kamma, and we're going to discuss many subjects. The key will be the safek, a quandary, a predicament, a situation that we are in dilemma, we're not sure which way to go. Example, Rabbi Waldenberg, may rest in peace, the one who wrote the response, She'elot u'Tshuvot Tzitz Eliezer, was asked about a woman that gave to a jewelry expert, Tzoref, to fix her jewelry. And all of a sudden, the next night, it was robbers came in and they robbed the whole small canyon. So here's the problem. She said that it's worth $4,000. The owner said, look, I put it in the safe. What do you want me to do? Go and file a claim for the insurance company. She said the insurance will cover for $750, but the real value is $4,000. He said, well, most probably those robbers came with guns, and it's called listim mezuyan. It's not called a regular thieves. And there is a Aruch HaShulchan that dealing with the subject of shmirah bekarka, if a person, the only way to save something is put it in the ground. And the question if that's follow nowadays. But here we start with the first quandary. The first quandary, it's you have two oxen that, and again, it's not clear who did what. Let's say ox number 1, ox number 2, both belong to one person, and they chase a third one, and we don't know which one belongs to whom. So here we are, page 36, Tractate Bava Kamma 36, and we are just the top of the page, 2 lines. היו שניהם של איש אחד, שניהם חייבים. 2 oxen belong to one person, so since you don't know who, so they are both liable. So it means each one of them is responsible for the damage. Meaning he can collect it, Rashi said, from anyone he wished to. אמר לרבה מפר זיקה לרב אשי, שמע מינה שברים תמים שהזיקו. If you have innocuous oxen that cause damage, which means we know, Tosfot Rabbeinu Peretz explained, that one of them did it. We do not know which one. So, therefore, the injured party have a choice. What's the choice? Help me. What's the choice he have? He have to either Ratza ze gove, he can collect from oxen A, 1, Ratza mize gove. If not, he can take from the oxen number 2, the B. So what's the difference? The difference is if one of them, Rabbeinu Peretz said, one of them disappear, he lost one of them. So the beauty of that is he can go ahead and do what? Collect it from the other one. So you do not have any logical argument to say that only innocuous oxen is basically subjugate to the other one. That's the whole subject of migufo that we discussed yesterday. So Rav Ashi responded and he said, Hacha b'maya skinan. Here we're dealing with what? Bemuadin. We're dealing with the oxen that they are forewarning. So since we say that the oxen that is mu'ad is forewarning, it needs to pay from the best, from mina aliyah, which means from all the estate of the owner of the oxen, which means that the injured party is not circumscribed, is not limited specifically to the oxen that caused the damage. He can collect it also, as she said, from the second one. However, if we differentiate between innocuous to the one who's forewarning. If we talk about innocuous oxen, you do not pay only from the oxen itself, it means only from that oxen that caused the damage. So the Gemara challenged that, said, muadin, if the Mishnah speaking about what? Forewarning oxen? Eima seifa, haya echad gadol ve'echad katan, if one of the oxen that chase was what? Was gadol, right? And the other one is what? It's small. So nizak omer gadol izik, והמזיק אומר לא אלא כי קטן הזיק. These two argue. One party said the big one, right? Who's that? The injured party. The other party, the damaged party said, the one who caused the damage said, no, it's a small one. So what we said day before yesterday, we said, hamotzi mechavero alav haraya. The burden of proof is what? Is the one who claimed. You remember that's the rule in the Talmud many times? If Reuven said, I lent Shimon 10K, and Shimon said, you never did it. So if it was that Shimon said, you gave me 5, so you need to take an oath. But if he said it never happened, or Reuven said, your car hit my car, right? So the burden of proof is upon whom? Upon the claimant, right? The person who claimed of loss. So since he claimed that this is the big and not the small, and the other party admitted, but he said it was only the small, so therefore the injured party had the burden of proof to say what? That was the big and not the small. If the Mishnah speaks about what type of oxen, that's already forewarning. What's the difference for the injured party by any mean if it was the largest, the biggest ox or small ox? Sof, eventually, Dmei Torah me'alya ba'eleshu liyumei. So the liable party is required to pay the value of full ox, regardless. So that's the rashash of a different. But the idea is that he needs to pay from the top. Amar lei, he said to Rava miprasgia, Seifa betamin v'reisha bemuadin. You have to differentiate between the last clause of the Mishnah and the first. The last clause speak about what? Innocuous oxen. Versus the beginning specifically talk about those forewarning one. So Rav Ashi rejected that. Amar le Rav Acha Sava le Rav Ashi, I bemuadin, if you tell me that the Mishnah is dealing with muad oxen, so how can the Mishnah rule chayavim, they are liable? Chayav gavra mibayali, the owner, the person who is liable. Vetu, moreover, maishnehem. What does that mean when the Mishnah used the term that both of them are liable? It looks superfluous, Ben Peretz said. Ela leolan betamin. So the fact is that we go to the original school of thought, that we hear the Mishnah dealing with what type of oxen that are totally innocuous. That's based also on the Ravid. Rabbi Akiva, the Mishnah follow Rabbi Akiva, Damar Shutafim Ninu, that both of them are partners. So what does that mean? This type of oxen, these both parties, the damaged and the injured party, the Torah give the partnership, the injured party, in the half of the value. That's, if you remember, we studied on page 33. So since the payment is by partnership, the injured party lost the, Rashi explained, the payment Tama deitnehu litravayu. The reason that there is liability in both of the oxen, it's because what? That we do not know which one caused the damage. And we have both oxen in the front of us. The lo matzei madchelei, the damaged party cannot reject the injured party because they both agree, Shita Mekubetzet said, that it's one of them. We just don't know which one. Aval litnehu litravayu. But if one of them was lost, Matzeh Amarli, the damaged party can say to the injured party, Zil aitei re'aya, the high Torah azkach, bring me proof that this ox caused you the damage. Va'ashalem lecha. And if that happened, I pay you. It's not like two oxen of Reuven and Shimon that mixed and then one of them lost. That because it's not clear that the one of them need to take a loss. Because here, even the injured party is partner, but it's not clear which one is the oxen that caused it. Anyway, the Rosh here, you see it also in Shulchan Aruch Chosh and Mishpat 400, that it's elaboration of this disputation. The Rashba asked a question how you treated situation when the injured party nizak tafas is already hold the animal, if you have the right to do it. It's like you bring a raya of Ilchot Arbaat Haminim, we said you have a etrog that we cannot use for Arbaat Haminim, orla. As you know, that in certain years you cannot take the produce. So someone have an etrog and he bought it, and then something happened, and all of a sudden there are two at the front of him, and he knew that one of them is kosher and one of them is orla, and he's not clear which one. Now we're about to make the bracha over the etrog, so can he make a condition in advance that whichever it is, the bracha will fulfill. So based on this Gemara, it's a question if by this type of unclear situation, ambiguous situation, can you say that by making bracha on one of them, it's basically hold to the one who's a kosher. So there's a Rashba, have ma'alach here. Anyway, hadran halach hamaniach. Now we are chapter 4. פרק רביעי, chapter 4, משנה. שור שנגח 4 ו5 שברים זה אחר זה, ישלם לאחרון שבהם. You have a innocuous ox, שור תם, that he gored 4 or 5 other oxen, one after the other. So the owner needs to pay the owner of the last one of them half of the damage from the proceeds value that left. ואם יש במותר, and if there is superfluous value left, יחזיר לשלפניו, he go for the one before him, ואם יש במותר החזיר שלפני פניו, אחרון נזכר דברי המלך. So you go backward, each one of them, the previous one, different. That's Rabbi Shimon אומר, שור שווה 200 שנגח לשור שווה 200, oxen that worth 200 dinars, gored another one. So he said, ואין הנבלה יפה כלום, and the cars, the dead body is worthless. So the injured party, the injured party takes 100 dinars, which is half of the cost of the damage from the sale, and the other one takes the remaining of the 100 dinars. חזר ונגח שור אחר שווה 200. If the ox, after going the first ox, before giving the compensation, he gored another ox, 200 dinars worth, so now the car is worthless. The owners, האחרון נותן מנה, less ox, go take 100 dinars, ושלפניו זה נותן 50 זול, the one before that take 50 dinars, and then before that, חזר ונגח שור אחר שווה 200, if the ox after going the first oxen, and before compensated and being paid, again gored another ox, worth 200 dinars. האחרון נותן מנה, the less injured party takes 100 dinars, ושלפניו 50 זוז, and one before the previous one take 50 dinars, ושניים האחרונים, and the last, the שניים הראשונים, and the first two, which is the first injured party and the owner of the belligerent ox, divide the remainder, each receiving dinar zahav, 1 gold dinar, which is worth 25 silver dinars. So the Orach Chaim HaKadosh and the Pirush on the Torah, the interpretation of the Torah, dealing with this question that, again, many others challenge that. He said that when you have oxen, for example, that worth 100, gold one that is 1,000. So he said he paid one from the damaged parties only, from the mazik. But so it means that even though 100 is only 50, but there are those who disputed. The Klosenberg Rebbe said that it's also in a book called Minchat Solet. The Brisker Rav asked, Reb Chaim Brisk, based on that, asked a question about the partners. You have partners. So in business partnership, let's say you have $1 million business, so this one gave, it's a percentage, right? This one gave 30%, this one gave 60%, etc. So we understand if they make a profit, so they go by the way that they share the business. But what happens if it's a debt, right? Or is a case, God forbid, of bankruptcy, etc., etc. Do you divide it the same way between the investors as you divided it in case of making money? So based on this Mishnah, the Reb Chaim Brisk have a malach. Anyway, matniti nami money. The Lach Rabbi Ishmael, Lach Rabbi Akiva. You cannot match it with what we studied Rabbi Ishmael, Rabbi Akiva on page 33. Ik Rabbi Ishmael אמר בעלי חובות נין, הוא האחרון נזכר, ראשון נזכר. If you go by Rabbi Ishmael, you say that they are considered creditors of the owner of the belligerent ox. He says that what? The latest one gain, and the Mishnah should have stated that the owner of the earliest one gains. Ik Rabbi Akiva אמר תורה דשותפהו, if you follow Rabbi Akiva that said that this oxen is like considered partners ownership of the ox, so then instead of stating that hayesh bo mutar, that this is a superfluous value remaining of the ox, he pays that owner 36b yachazir l'shelefanav lechula mibayale. So instead of saying he shall return it to the owner of the previous one, the Mishnah should say that he should get all of them, which means you have the one before the injured party, because they are all share joint ownership of the belligerent ox. So Amar Rav al-Olam ki Rabbi Ishmael da Amar b'alei chovot nidu. You have go by Rabbi Ishmael that said that they are all creditors. And when you challenge the idea, האחרון נזכר, the latest one of the oxen considered gain. ראשון נזכר, the first one gain במבעלי. החב מהזכין, you know what's talking here? כגון שתפסו נזק לגבות ממנו. Here, when the injured party sees the oxen to collect payment from it, and consequently, it became like a pain Bailey with regard to damage. That's the case. If you remember, I talked about the lady that gave the juryman the piece of jewelry. So she claimed that he is that he is Shomer Sachar. But here you see that the responsibility of any subsequent attacks by the ox is by him. So here the same thing. The next injured party sees the oxen from the first as compensation, and he becomes responsible for any subsequent attacks. We should say that he will return to its owner, because half of the value of the belligerent ox belongs to the owner. If the later injured party sustained loss of the lesser loss of the previous one, he should return the superfluous value to the previous injured party. So he said because the pshiat shomrim, the bellies, negligence. So he said, "B'mayu kimta ki Rabbi Ishmael, yachem aseifa." You have to go less close. Rabbi Shimon omer shosha v'matayim shnegach shova v'matayim. You have an oxen that worth 200 dinar. That gold, another one, 200 dinar. Ve'lan v'ra'efa klum. The dead body is worthless. So the injured party can do, each one would take 100 dinar. The owner of the belligerent ox take 100 dinar, and the owner and the injured party takes 100 dinar. If he continued, that's what we studied earlier, and he went ahead again, and he got another ox to 200 dinars, and again the dead body is worth nothing. So they said האחרון נוטל מנה ושלפניו, the last one 100, and one before זה נוטל 50 זו ונוטל 50 זו, each of them take 50. חזר ונגח 3 ו200 he got again ox that worth 200, האחרון נוטל מנה ושלם נוטל 50 זו והשניים ראשונים בני זהב, that we said earlier. תנא רבי עקיבא אמר תורה דשותפי היא, that's good according to Rabbi Akiva the other way around, it said it is a partnership. So if it's a partners in ownership of the oxen, so it's is it possible Reish Rabbi Shmuel beseder Rabbi Akiva meant to say that the first part of the clause is follow Rabbi Ishmael and the later one follow Rabbi Akiva? Amrei ein, yes. So the Amar Shmuel Rabbi Yehuda Shinna Shvok Matin v'ta batrai. He said, go and follow the way I interpreted the text. Reish Rabbi Ishmael beseder Rabbi Akiva. The first clause follow the Rabbi Ishmael, the last one Rabbi Akiva. Itmar lama Rabbi Yochanan Gdishon Izaki Kabenayu. Rabbi Yochanan says they real different between the opinion of Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Shimon in Mishnah is regard to where the injured party consecrated the ox. So if he is a partner in the ownership of the ox, his consecration takes effect. If he consider a creditor, the consecration is ineffective. So what you see here, that Rabbi Yochanan also hold that dispute in the Mishnah corresponds to dispute between Rabbi Ishmael and Rabbi Akiva. So now we have another derivative for something we're going to study Mitzvah Shem on page 90. So we have a gold dinar that we mentioned in Mishnah. If one who tokea, who slept on another one, or we said nalacha, you see it in kids, they're cruel to each other sometimes, they scream in the ear of one, right? So here you need to pay sela. That's the fine. Rabbi Omer Mishum Rabbi Yossi Agli Maneh. He needs to pay 100 now. So it was unfortunately a person that did it. Who slept another. What exactly? There's a different. You go by the seller that it's a provincial seller or tyrant seller. We learn that each receive a golden dinar. It's 25 silver dinar. So we should divide it 12 dinar and 1 selah a piece, which is 12 and a half dinar, which is a half. So there is not indicates that the Mishnah does not have provincial selah. Its value is the less than 1 dinar. Therefore, the gold dinar cannot be divided in that leave each party with whole coins. So they said, Amar le Tana, kiruch laletne velezil. That's a famous statement. It says, should the Tana consider teaching like a peddler that's selling a wares, that's the advertising every item of the merchandise? Maya ve'ala. What is the halacha derivative for that? Pashtu amar Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, kol kesef amru Torah kesef tzori. Shidvarem kesef in that there's a well-known statement that any time the Torah said the word kesef, they mean the tyrant. But here is a provincial, so therefore a person who slept another is fined a provincial seller, which is a half dinar. He said that since the fine is only half dinar, I don't want it. It's beneath me to collect such an amount. I give it to the poor people, to the indigent. So he said to Rav Yosef, let him give it to me, and I will go and sustain myself with it. Amar Rav Yosef, I gave it already to the indigent. Even we don't have poor people here. Anan yad aniyim anan. We are like, in a sense of a hand, the legal extension of the poor. We, in a way, represented. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, yetomim. Rav Yehuda said in the name of Shmuel, orphans. 37, אינם צריכים פרוסבול. Remember the prusbul, they not require a document that prevents the sabbatical year from abrogating an outstanding debt by transferring the right of collection to the rabbinic court. So why? Because the court is legally considered to be their steward, and their debt transferred to the rabbinic court automatically without the prusbul. That's a well-known statement. So the rabbinic court in every generation have this status that they are like the fathers, the one who responsible. So Hanan bishat kalela ugavra. It was a wicked Hanan, mentioned even of his name. He slept a certain name. He said that you have to pay half dinar. which imposed such an act l'chanan the wicked. Hava lezuza makah. So he gave a dinar, but Ba'al emet v'le palga de zuza. You want to give him a half. Lo hava mishtakeli. There's no one that wanted to take it from him, to give it to the smaller coin for it. So Hanan the wicked then, he did another one, so it's liable to pay an additional half, and he gave it to that person as a payment.